never ever. And therefore, we must go to layer 2. I love layer 2 solutions. They're very clever. We are also supporting layer 2. We would love people to build layer 2 solutions on top of Avalanche as well. But there was this sort of sense of hopelessness, and it's incorrect. If you use the right protocol family, you can totally beat Visa in a distributed deployment. 5,000 TPS is not impossibly high. You do not have to go to a centralized solution. Oh yeah, this is kind of cool. This is a recording of what happens on our network. So this is our DAG. So we end up building a DAG. Instead of a single chain, we create a graph of a solution of transactions. This is our front end showing the DAG. You can see how fast it is. It's about 10 TPS during this test run. You can see this number slowly go up and up. What is it, 12? Yeah, that's kind of cool. So we left Bitcoin territory behind. We're leaving Ethereum territory behind. So now you can have 2 CryptoKitties at this point. So yay, time for DeFi. That's 55 TPS, keeps going like this. That's kind of neat. And at some point, this thing can't keep up. And so I'm going to pause that. This is a real recording from a real deployment. And we saw it peak at 6,600 TPS. Yes?
So is this all on the AWS?
This was, yeah.
How many regions was it?
I'm not actually sure, but this was this 1,000 nodes? Were you there? Oh, you weren't there.
I was told that it was one region.
It was one region. Okay, it's in one region.
And are these like stateful transactions or are they just base crypto transactions?
I knew this, and I think the following is what it was. It was 2 input, 1 output transactions. No, that would actually cause us to run. I think it's 2 input, 2 output transactions. And they're identical in nature to basic Bitcoin transactions. We have a bunch of features actually that we support, like time locks and like multi-sig and so forth. These are not multi-sig transactions, single sig per input. Regular Bitcoin transactions with 2 inputs and 2 outputs.
So we're not as familiar with that. How do you layer out state on top of these basic 2 input, 2 output transactions?
Oh, how do you do smart contracts?
Yeah.
Great question. Okay, so what I showed you here, or what I gave you a glimpse of, was a DAG building payment system. Okay, so the very first thing we implemented was a very, very scalable process that allows anybody to build transactions concurrently. One of the reasons why this is so high is because you could be pushing for a transaction over here while I'm pushing for a transaction over here. And we're independently and concurrently agreeing that yes, whatever, letter J is paying letter K and A is paying B. Those 2 are independent and we can agree on that concurrently. So that's one of our tricks in getting this large number. So, and you are absolutely right that if you want to implement smart contracts, partial order is not sufficient. You want total order, right? I'm going to sell tickets to a concert, and who gets the last ticket? You or me? We need total order on this. So we have a variant of this protocol that isn't building a DAG, but is building a chain. And the measurement that we did just yesterday was with 100 nodes. The version of this protocol that built the chain is getting 3,000 TPS. So I'm really happy about the performance of this thing, and I know, but there's a reason why I can be so proud of this. It's not because we did some magical thing, it's because the underlying protocol is just qualitatively very different. The number of messages is drastically lower. Go ahead.
Is this a very built a chain similar to a blockchain where within each block, block to block you have ordering, but within each block you don't have every event is a unique user?
Yeah, every event is uniquely ordered. Yes.
Are you talking about the payment system or just for the
No, for Snowman.
Regular blockchain as Ethereum created.
Exactly.
You can support the EVM fully, so you can just run the grid.
So the issue would be like in Ethereum, right? In each block, it's at the leader's discretion what order of transactions.
Yeah. So yes, correct. So we have 2 versions. One is the leader-based version, one leaderless. The leaderless one, the ultimate end result is the same. It's a block. It's a chain of blocks. Each block has a set of transactions and a total order. So if everybody executes this chain in the same order, then the output is, the end state is the same for everybody.
Okay. So the security of the resulting system is actually far stronger than everyone else's. Okay. So Avalanche provides very strong immutability. In Bitcoin, the chain is created by 19 mining pools. Ethereum, I said 11. EOS, everybody loves to make fun of EOS for the cabal that they have. It's actually, they have 21 block producers. Avalanche can handle tens of thousands to millions of first-hand participants. So you too could be the Jihan Wu of Avalanche. You could be the main guy who's in charge. You could partake in every single transaction. That's kind of cool. There's an interesting thing here. The Byzantine Tolerance thresholds are configurable in Avalanche. So in regular classical systems, you essentially have, the only sensible point is to configure your system for an attacker of size 33%. So if the attacker comes in with 34%, all of these systems go to, they crook, they keel over. All the guarantees are gone. So ETH2O is a classical algorithm. So if you come in with a 34% of the stake in ETH2O, you'll be able to make it just die immediately on site. In contrast, in Avalanche, when the attacker is larger than the configured threshold, it's true that the guarantees go down the drain, but the system doesn't croak immediately. What do I mean by that? Suppose that we configure the system for a 33% attacker, and suppose that you assembled a 34% attacker. In classical systems, you'd own the system. You'd be able to double spend and cheat and lie to people. In Avalanche, what happens is, we were promising you a security threshold, so a security guarantee that there would not be a safety violation for about 20,000 years. With your 34% attack, well, that guarantee goes up a little. I can't promise you that it's going to, mean time between failure is going to be 20,000 years. Well, what's it going to be? Well, it's going to be maybe 15 to 10,000 years. So that's not so bad. It has this graceful degradation in the presence of an attack. And profiting from an attack requires a really large Byzantine component. And best of all, if you expect the attacker to be, let's say, 1% of the population, then you get to be way more efficient. The number of rounds required for convergence is far lower. If you think it's 5%, it's higher than 1%, but it's far lower than 33%. So these are all really, really nice guarantees of the system.
And you said you could tolerate 51%. That was not clear to me. What happens to
What happens at 51%? Okay, I should be very clear about this. We can tolerate safety violations when there's an attacker bigger than the majority of the system. But we do not provide liveness guarantees. Liveness guarantees hold for the lower end of the spectrum of attacks. Good.
I'll also add one thing that I think got lost a little bit, which is the scalability. These performance numbers that we gave you are the same for if you run a network of 10 nodes, 100 nodes, 1,000 nodes, 10,000 nodes, which is something that is really, it's a really nice result.
Yep.
It's kind of independent. It's basically
There's scale free, yeah.
Yeah, scale free.
Okay, so I don't know how much time I have.
It's because every node just does constant size samples regardless of network size.
Right.
And that size of the sample is actually
Does not.
it doesn't change. And that size of how many people you sample is simply a security parameter. It's independent of the network size.
Yes.
How do the results change when you change that parameter?
Yeah. So the highest security guarantee is when you sample everybody. You have zero probability of failure. And then as soon as you start going down, that probability obviously increases. But it turns out that just a few, like in the range of 20 to 30 neighbors, is sufficient for networks of sizes 1 million and a billion and so on. So it's kind of independent.
So if stake is put up, what's the requirement for the
This is a stake-based system.
Yeah, so
You do need to have, so you don't want an attacker who's going to multiply himself and appear to be a bazillion people. You can't do much in it. You need some way of controlling cities. So in Ava we use. Let me tell you a little bit about the, yeah, right.
And just another question is around the, what if your attacker is sitting on a cut in the network? So you're sampling
Cut in the
neighbors,
network.
or you're sampling randomly in the network?
The network should have no cuts. You should be playing uniformly across the entirety of the network. As an Australian, you should worry about cuts in the network and partitions, right? So Let's talk about that later on. Let me finish this. This next bit is interesting. So, if I were here just selling you a new protocol, I'd be very proud because I think this is a major thing, and I'm very happy about that. But this is by no means the only sort of exciting thing about Avalanche. Let me tell you something that's quite different from everybody else. You've heard about 2,000 other coins. They all copied the same stupid model from Satoshi. What's that model? Well, you have a coin, you shield the crap out of your coin, right? You have a scripting language that defines how the coin behaves. And on occasion you might have to change it as use cases grow on it. And then you have a network of ragtag individuals that come together and create your network. So one coin, one language, one network. If you want to ever make any changes to the language, then you have to go out to the people who comprise your network and say, yo guys, we're going to change the block size, what do you think? And what do you think they're going to tell you? Well, Luke Jr. is going to be there and he's going to be like, no, my nodes are in the swamps of Florida, I will never put up with your changes, da 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 da. Then you have a big fight, you have a big situation, and so there's this ridiculous one coin, one network mindset that is not at all the model in Avalanche. And this is the part where we differ completely from everybody else. We do have, of course, an AVA token at the base of the network, but we envision a world with thousands of other coins. So there should be a coin corresponding to real estate. There should be coins corresponding to gold, to commodities of other kinds. For every single traded stock and derivative, there should be a different coin. And these things come with their own scripting languages. So you should be able to say, look, I'm going to create a new coin. I'm going to call it X coin. And X coin is going to use the basic Bitcoin scripting language, because I like to use a Bitcoin wallet. But I also want to support zero-knowledge proofs and ring signatures from Monero. And by the way, I'm going to I want to have the feature where two coins are adjacent. I want to merge them. Finally, you'll split a coin. And this is going to represent real estate in Manhattan. Now we created an anonymous real estate coin. So that's pretty cool. Okay. So that's okay. You could do that with Ethereum. But there's one other thing that you can do in Alpha that others cannot, which is you get to say, this X coin, by the way, it's not going to run on the ragtag group of individuals out here. It's going to run on purple nodes. Now, who are purple nodes? That's up to you. You define X coin, you define who gets the purple certificate. And that forces an interaction between the people who validate for you and the coin creator. So they will have to come to you and say, look, I want to be branded purple. And then you get to say, you got to do my bidding. What is your bidding in this case? Well, it might be, hey, you got to keep these records for the next 20 years. And so they might have to enter into a transaction. And that's kind of neat, because if we are going to keep track of real estate, you do want that archival property. And the best part of this is he knows when he's getting into this process of being a purple validator, he knows what he's getting into, and he can extract value commensurate with what he's providing. He can say, look, I don't want a fraction of a cent for doing this transaction. This is a real estate transaction. It should cost thousands of dollars. That's what it costs to keep track of records for many, many decades. If that's what you're promising, then that's what you should do. So Ava enables a striated, differentiated staking service, where stakers can not only provide the lowest common denominator service, but can also provide additional services over time. So that creates a marketplace of nodes that Jake mentioned. So that in turn gives rise to a platform of platforms. I talked about this construction kit for digital assets. It's like all the same stuff. And then the final feature that sets our platform apart from everyone else's is that we take advantage of the unique operational sort of mechanics of this protocol to build in governance. So remember how the protocol worked. It worked by essentially repeatedly polling the audience. Hey guys, I like red. Do you like red? That's what I was doing before. Now, in Ava, what we do is, forget Ava. If you look at Bitcoin and every other system, they want to be able to say that the system is not controlled by anyone. So they bake in every critical parameter on day one. So Satoshi baked in this all too crucial minting curve, right? For all time, he fixed how the coins are going to be issued. So in the first days, it was 50 coins per block, went down to 25, it's 12 and a half now, it's going to go down even to half of what it is today in a very short time. So that's nice, but you know, he didn't get it right. He can't possibly get it right for all time. Sometimes he undermints, the price goes up, maybe you can think that's good, but sometimes he overmints. And if you don't think there were times in BTC history where he overminted, just look at Zcash right now. Zcash is completely overminted. They're paying way too much for the little bit of security that they have. Ethereum, if you ask me, is also overminted. They're not getting all that much security for the coins they're giving away. And yet it's so hard to change this. How the heck is anybody going to go to the miners and say, yo guys, you're getting paid too much, we're going to take back some money? Can't do that. In Ava, what we do for governance is anybody who's part of the system gets to inject a transaction into the network to say, yo, I think we're over minting. And if you all agree, I would like to reduce the minting rate. Now, there may or may not be social consensus around the proposal, but if there is social consensus that we should reduce the minting rate to boost the price, or vice versa, we should increase the minting rate to increase the number of validators, then the network will find that and will agree to it using this governance mechanism based on repeatedly following the orders. So that's kind of neat, and it allows us to take critical parameters like minimum stake, minimum staking period, minting rate, and so forth, and not bake them in. They are what they are initially, but anybody can change them. And if there is, of course, social consensus. And we do believe in sort of calm technologies, and I believe in being able to take vacation. So we have governors in place, like limits in place, for how fast these things can change. So I want to be able to go away camping for a week, come back, and know that if the minting rate was 2%, it can only move in either direction by 10%. It can go from 2% to 2.2 or 1.8, and you can't just arbitrarily move to 20,000%. So we've got some dampeners built into it, but overall, it's us who determine the central banking policy. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to do. So, okay, so what's there to then wrap up with? Well, the internet was introduced in 1962, went through lots and lots of cycles. I was on it in the 80s, early 80s, it was great then. I could see the magic of it, but it wasn't until the 90s where it really took off. Crypto is no different. Okay, so we're in the very early stages. Everyone, I don't know if you guys remember Orkut. Who remembers Orkut? You remember Orkut, yeah. So people remember MySpace. I still have my MySpace account. I never use it. And in the same sense, I have my BTC. I never use that BTC either. I'm the quintessential hodler. And there will be actual coins to come afterwards that really provide a much better foundation for building digital assets. So I outlined to you the three major things that Ava fixes in this domain. The scale and performance is unprecedented. The usability and interoperability is very, very different. The model is entirely different from what other people have built. And finally, the governance, the flexibility of the system is unparalleled, except say for Tezos. Tezos actually is more general than us on the governance front on this board. Let's see, so crypto will change the financial world, and we are trying to build a platform that allows this to happen. We're very actively looking for developers, both on top and also as part of the core team. We are looking for people who want to port their existing applications onto Avalanche. We support the EVM in a byte-by-byte compatible fashion. So if you have a Solidity contract that you like and you want to deploy it on a brand new platform, we support it in its entirety. Plus, we would support additional features that they will do. We have Avalanche Twitter if anybody wants to follow that. If you want to hear me fight it out with the Bitcoin Maximus tools, this is my Twitter handle. And we have this Telegram channel if you want to come by and just shoot the bull with us about protocol design, crypto.
You guys want validated partners?
And we're looking for stakers and validator partners. So the threshold required to be a validator, we want it to be very low. We want to have huge numbers of participants. So if anybody wants to do that, then we're also very excited. Thank you. That's what I say.
Do you want to take a couple more questions?
If there are some, I don't know how we're doing on time. I told you most time.
I think we have another 5 minutes or so.
Great. Yeah.
So, maybe one slide before this, it seems like you've thought a lot about economic incentives towards appends to the ledger.
Mhm.
What about serving state to wallets and applications in historical state?
Great question.
Could you repeat the question?
The question is, what are the economic incentives with regard to serving historical states to wallets? And,
Or dApps?
what?
Any dApps?
Or dApps, applications, and so forth? That's a really good question. Let's see. We've thought quite a bit about economic incentives. Economic incentives in the presence of multiple coins, and economic incentives in the presence of competing stakers. So I'm not going to be able to explain because this part we've never discussed this publicly. But we are I believe the only incentive compatible staking protocol. Every other protocol has a cabal formation aspect built concretely into that protocol. So Ava is one of the few where it is in everyone's best interest to actually not form a cabal. And so I think I'm being a little vague. It sounds like a weirdly impossible thing to do, but that is something we have hoped for. On the archival front, I don't have a magic bullet. So I'm going to run an archival loop. Why? Because it doesn't cost me anything more than it costs me a little bit more maybe, but it just doesn't matter to me. I suspect that there will be many altruists who will do the same. And just about every cryptocurrency will consist of Byzantine actors, rational actors, and altruistic actors. And successful systems don't just be designed for the Byzantine case. Because if you do that, then you're in like worst case territory all the time. If you look at the history of these coins, the 5/9% of the time, they're in the nice case, like there are no attacks. And so you want to be able to design a system that does take advantage of altruists where they exist. And so on this front, I don't have something that says, oh, you get paid extra for serving historical state. We didn't build that in. It seems like extra complexity. And I will be running a node. I'm hoping on, when I talk to audiences, they look really nice. Like they sound really good. And so I'm sure that among all that whole set, there will be hundreds of people who will just run an altruistic state serving node. If you have a
potentially build a sister node on top of Ava that incentivizes these full archival node runners to
Absolutely.
stake with.
Absolutely. You could offer your own coin. Exactly. Create your own sub-network of those things. Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yes, Larry.
I have a question about VM design. Do you guys have a stance on kind of very expressive Turing-complete VMs on the one hand, like a VM style, versus more like a Bitcoin script, more restricted on Turing-complete VM?
Do we have a stance on it?
Stance on that sort of
Yeah, I
never-ending debate.
think it's about VM design. I don't have an official stance. I'll tell you what I think. When it came down to design the scripting language for Ava, we went with a fixed functionality. So Ava has its own set of transactions. They're very, very versatile if you ask me, but it's not a full scripting language. There's no stack, there's no second stack, there's no blah, blah, blah. So I'm hoping to stay away from all of the bugs and so forth that Bitcoin experienced as a result. There is a version of Ava, not the one that I was demonstrating here, that supports the Bitcoin scripting language as well.
Bitcoin or
Just a plugin.
Ethereum?
Huh?
Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin scripting language.
Because you mentioned also EVM bytecode.
We also support EVM, and I want to have other plugins for supporting all of these things. So Bitcoin scripting language is a bit arcane, is a bit complicated, and in general, nobody uses it for purposes other than the 5 or so that were the part of the is standard set. Right? So we have multi-sig. We support time locks. We support whatever else might be required for layer 2. We have a whole bunch of other transaction types like take it or leave it for airdrops and so forth. So we support those fixed functions, but we don't support in the native language the wholesale. But we do support wholesale plugins. So you can say, here's my Bitcoin scripting plugin. Or you can say, here's my EVM plugin, which we do support. You can add, you can bring in ZKPs if you wanted to as another plugin.
So if you're running like an old like Ethereum ERC20 and you're trying to scale up the network effect, the speed at which two coins change hands, that won't actually increase by using Ava, right? You're still going to be constricted by like the speed of Ethereum, right? Not Avalanche. May I ask? Do you understand what I'm saying?
So let's see. We're talking about EVM supported on Ava, right?
Yeah, you're not actually increasing the speed of the EVM in any meaningful way, right?
We are in a very meaningful way. We're going from 15 TPS because of the mining-based protocol that they use in Ethereum, in the Nakamoto consensus protocol they use in Ethereum, to our own consensus protocol that builds a chain that gets about 3,000 TPS.
So you're going to look at an ERC20 token transferring between two addresses, and it'll finalize faster on Avalanche than it will on the EVM.
By far, it will finalize within a second or so. And you can do 3,000 of those transactions per second or so.
So it finalizes first before it finalizes in the mempool of Ethereum.
Are you talking about bridging to Ethereum?
Yeah, sort of.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I was talking about running the EVM as a component on Ava, where we would create Nathan Coin.
Right.
And Nathan Coin would be a competitor to Vitalik's Ethereum.
Right.
And it would support EVM. That's what I was talking about. I suspect you're talking about a bridge into Ava for ETH.
Right,
External
right.
chain, which is not something I mentioned during this talk, but we do have plans to create such bridges where we create wrapped ETH.
Yeah.
So you would have Ethereum over here.
So you freeze it like a
You freeze
bridge.
it over
Okay,
there,
okay.
And then you transact in this Avalanche world, and then you move it back there.
Okay,
It's
so
kind of like plasma.
So that way you can't front run across different chains because you're freezing it. You're locking it up basically.
I guess so. I don't know what front run is.
You can't. You couldn't send one token to another wallet
Oh, yeah,
on.
yeah. Exactly. Yes, you can. You shouldn't have a divergence.
Yeah.
And you can't have a divergence because you froze it up.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so for the crowd oracle, the social governance for determining those key parameters, you mentioned that briefly, but could you go into a little bit more detail how the crowd oracle determines those key parameters?
Okay.
Is it majority or?
Yeah, it's there's a particular threshold. It's going to be something on the order of 80% or so that is required to affect these changes. And so there is a whole set of Greek letters, which is the set of parameters that are governable. The key ones are the ones that I mentioned here: minimum stake, minimum staking period, minting rate. But there are others. So, for example, a good one is gas costs. So remember, do you remember 2.5 years ago, Ethereum was attacked because there was a mispriced opcode. The opcode was costing way too little, but it was causing all of the get nodes to do a very expensive lookup. And so, do you guys know about? Everybody knows about the gas cost in Ethereum, right? Every opcode has a corresponding gas cost. They were initially computed by running a bunch of stuff on Gav's laptop. So Gav just looked at how expensive these opcodes were and said, okay, an add is 1 gas and multiply is like 5 or whatever the numbers are, and just came up. It's very hard to change those in Ethereum because that requires a hard fork. Whereas with this governance mechanism, we can say, yo guys, I think I'm being attacked because somebody's doing a contract lookup operation, which is very expensive, for which we're charging 300 gas, and we should really charge 700. And you can subject that to governance as well. So in this process, the user experience for this is, as a normal person, you set your sliders. Okay? You say, look, I'm happy with, take minimum stake. The minimum stake should be $1,000, but I'm happy with any choice between 800 and 1,500. So I will automatically vote yes to those changes. I'm happy with a minting rate of anything between 1.9 and 2.1%. I make the numbers up. But now I can go off of my computer, but my computer in the background automatically votes in these decision processes. And as I said, if the sum total of us, there's 80% majority voting for what Colin is proposing, suppose he's proposing 2.05, then we will actually adopt this proposal and change what the number is. Does that make sense?
Are there any potential vulnerabilities in having that 80% number versus a higher number of potential attack vectors from the same that adjustable?
Oh, meta governance, changing of the governance parameters. That's something we thought about as well. I think something, at least initially, this is a big experiment, right? So we're gonna deploy a testnet, we're going to play with it, and I am we're open to all sorts of cool ideas. That's a very cool idea. I'm not sure how it's gonna play out, and we'll try to find something that makes sense. My gut reaction is governance meta parameters shouldn't be subject to governance. That's just two unique levels of both complication. Like, it's complication for at the implementation level, but more importantly, it's complication for me as the person at the other end of this user interface. So I think we're going to fix them. That's my gut reaction. Yeah, very, very clever. Are there attacks on governance? I worry about social attacks, and I worry about some unpredictability, right? You leave, I don't know, you start climbing a mountain, you come back 10 days later, you should find a predictable thing back. So that's why we have those limits. So even if you sort of close your eyes for whatever, you're in a coma for, God forbid, for 2 weeks, when you wake up, the network shouldn't be able to move drastically. I said Tezos is more general than us, they are. They can vote on one hash, and in one step, they can flip from wherever the heck they are to a completely different mode of operation. And we deliberately chose not to allow that level of generality. Yes?
Is there a concept of a governance proposal or
Yeah.
a governable parameters of what the flags that has?
No, it doesn't happen implicitly. There's an actual governance process on chain. So you get to see that Colin is proposing that we move from 2 to 205. And we all get to vote yes or no, and you can see what's happening in the network. And there will be a lot of discarded governance proposals. So he's proposing 205, we say no. I'm happy with 2. I can just pick the sliders down. I'm not allowing any changes to this. It's more fun. All right, thank you all very much. I'll take this.